two, and one. And we are live. Hello, everyone out there in Facebook land. I am Andrew over here on the East Coast in Long Beach, New York. And I got my buddy Paul Lucido. This way. Paul Lucido over there, actually on the West Coast in California. Paul, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Andrew. How are you, buddy?
Fantastic. Excited to do another passage of 30 Days of Thought today. Our chosen passage for this week is 1,000,000 Supermen Acting as Robin. So if this is the first time you're catching this and you haven't seen this before, what Paul and I decided to do is we took our good buddy Jay Doran's book, 30 Days of Thought. 30 Days of Thought is a book that it's more than just a book. It's a book that's designed for you to read. Once you read that book, you kind of take your thoughts from the passage and write down your thoughts and then record it. I've gone back and looked at some of my recordings and wow, I'm shocked by some of the things I say to myself, but Paul and I felt this is a good practice for us to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. This to me is foreign, to be like in front of the camera with my own thoughts, not scripted or working off of focusing on someone else. But now this is just where Paul and I are kind of focusing on ourselves, and it's been a little awkward, but I think we've been doing a pretty good job of covering Jay's material. This week, we're doing 1,000 Supermen Acting as Robin. And I always like to kind of kick this off with Paul Lucido. Does a great job of kind of doing a very great analytical look, and goes deeper. And of course, I pull some of my ideas off of him, and I kind of polish my thoughts off of him. So, Paul, take it away.
Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that, buddy. And again, yes, we are discussing 30 Days of Thought by Jay Doran. And I got to tell you, this one is actually pretty interesting. And ironically, it parallels is a better word. The last review we did, O plus M equals belief, OMB, because it kind of still speaks to the Matrix, in my opinion, and I'm going to get into that a little bit. There we go, Christine. One of my favorite chapters too, Christine. I just saw Christine Beckwith just chimed in. So look, here's the deal. I think Jay's position on this is this. Superman, for example, Superman is born, right? He just kind of comes into an existence. He's very pure. What Superman is unaware of is all the stimulus that he's about to encounter, everything that's out there. And that stimulus, in theory, can change the course of what he chooses to do going forward. It goes back to the Matrix, that we are all the sum of our experiences, behaviors, upbringing, parenting, and so forth. So Superman comes into existence. We all have the potential, the genius to be Superman. That's what I believe Jay is trying to get across. However, most folks kind of settle back into the mode of a Robin. And when you think of Batman and Robin was always kind of second fiddle to Batman, but I think metaphorically that's what Jay is saying. So what's happening is Robin is represents the second best version of himself versus his maximum potential, what he could be, right? His kryptonite, unbeknownst to him, I put here, is the fear to face the truth. Now, I want to stop right there. When you think about Socrates, what Socrates said, Socrates said the unexamined life is not worth living. If you're going to be someone that's willing to be to take a step toward examining life, toward facing the truths, you have to be strong enough to be able to do such a thing. And a lot of people are afraid of what they might find. So Robin metaphorically represents wearing the mask, okay, And he's masking a lot of things, you know. He's masking his loneliness. He's overshadowed by the gravity of pain and the strife of his life. Okay? He cannot get out of his own way. Let's go back several chapters back. Getting your left foot out. Okay? He's got his foot stuck in the left side, more or less, right? He can't get out of his own way. He's a product of his environment. That goes back to the Matrix. And then Jay went further to say he's the fake man, the fake alpha. So Robin is kind of masquerading. He's kind of taking more of a little bit of a lower profile, okay? He's really not being true to who he is because he's fearful of taking steps in those directions. Progress is not possible without change. Let's talk about that. It's very difficult to make change in life without experiencing some discomfort. Paul and Andrew doing these videos, right? Getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Okay, there is some discomfort that comes with it, although I think we're getting pretty comfortable, buddy. You and I are not short of doing public speaking and different things like that. We've been there before, but doing what we're doing here is a little more real, right? So anyway, masking the pain, the mask of insecurity, feeling undeserving. That's another one. In fact, I think about my own wife. Sometimes she says, Paul, you're more deserving of things than you think you are. Sometimes we have a tendency based on our experiences, life experiences. I go back to parenting. I see you nodding. Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Bottom line is that baggage. Let's go back to the baggage that you and I have talked about before. We all have baggage.
Yeah.
We all try to leave it at the door when we come to work, right? But the reality of it is that baggage lives with us for a long time. It could be those skeletons in our closet, whatever it might be. Christine Beckwith talks a little bit about that in a little bit of a different way, but she covers it. There was a lot of baggage early on that she had to kind of emancipate herself from. You got to free yourself from this stuff. And believe you me, it's not that easy to do. It's one thing to say it. It's another thing to practice what you preach. Put action, action speaks louder than words, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, look, I want to hear what you have to say, but going back to the same thing, the bottom line is Robin is a byproduct of the stimulus around him. And unfortunately, he lets a lot of the negative energy seep in. He doesn't feel deserving. He doesn't feel worthy, and he kind of settles for second fiddle. And he manages his way through life doing that. So the big metaphor here is how do you break out of that? How do you become a Superman? How do you live your potential? So that's a question, we all have to ask ourselves. You're up, brother.
That's great. As always, just a great analysis. I'll say this. Here's what Jay at the end of every paragraph or at the end of passage, he kind of sums up, and is what he says. This is not my words. This is Jay's words. Robin is a dancing star. Yes, of course, man is man. That of genius, that of Superman. But he may never know it due to cases of stimulus of environment. And for that, there are 1 million Supermen acting as Robin. 1 million Supermen acting as Robin. So that's Jason. So here's what I wrote. My take on this. So we all have Superman inside of us with greatness, trying to break out. Yet our securities, our environment, create this negativity around us and makes us Robin. We have limiting beliefs, our measurements of our accomplishment, which goes at talking about the matrix that we were just talking about. Hold on a second. I just lose myself. We get focused on what's in front of us. Okay, there we go. It's about our limiting beliefs and measurements of our accomplishment that create a negativity, which limit us from our greatest potential. We're so focused on what's in front of us, the negativity is around us, we forget to look behind us and see that cape that's behind us. So, I think that's what it comes down to. We have such great powers. I mean, we have so much that we just limit ourselves and we're our own worst enemy in so many cases, and that's my thing. And you know, I think you hit the nail on the head before. It is the OMB, and your matrix, by what you're measuring yourself, impacts your ability to look behind you and see that cape.
Yes, look, I love the part about the cape behind us. We forget to look back sometimes. I just think that for many of us, and we all go through these phases in our life. We have these moments where we feel like we're kind of on top of things, that's moving in a good direction. Then we get in the pit or the valley, and it feels like we're salmons trying to swim upstream to get up where we need to be. And also, a lot of it is who you surround yourself with. I go back to a comment I made in an earlier episode, I think it was OMB, was I talked about Stephen Covey. I always go back to that because Stephen Covey's philosophy, I think, was really kind of interesting. This was in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and what he had to say was, by increasing your circle of influence, you decrease your circle of concern. The circle of influence being in the center, the circle of concern being the larger outer shell around that. But by just doing positive things, by bringing the right people into your life, by taking the right action steps, all the things that we've been talking about, that all of us have been talking about. I was listening to Mortgage X podcast. I listen to these folks, and they touch on some of this stuff too with the different interviews that they do. I think we're all saying essentially the same thing, perhaps just slightly differently. But at the end of the day, here's what it boils down to. From a probabilistic standpoint, if you take the right actions, have a plan, stick with it, be open to change, be open to enduring a little bit of pain on the way, because there's going to be some, odds are favorable that you'll get where you're trying to go. But if you never take action and you sit back and you just think and think and think, and it's paralysis by analysis, and you never make that move, you're going to be a robin. And you might wear the mask, and you might have a few people fooled out there, but deep down inside, you're in pain. It's like a lot of comedians that are real funny on stage, and then you learn to find out that they go through a lot of pain. They're actually very dark inside. They have a lot of pain, and that outlet is the masquerade, if you will, the charade. So, we can go down a lot of different channels. I think at the end of the day, we all have a Superman in us, whether you're a male or a female. And at the end of the day, the idea is to unlock the potential. Can you really unlock that potential? And can you get over your own preconceived notions, okay, based on the stimulus and everything that's been fed to you since the day you were born? And, that's just not some simple little feat.
I know, but that's the roadmap right there. That's the roadmap. If you can do everything you just said, you are Superman. But that's why we're a million Supermen acting as Robin in many cases. So wonderful. Listen, great takes on this. I don't know if you have one picked out for next week, or
you know what, Andrew? I don't. If you'd like, I got the book right here in front of me.
Go for it.
This is the book that we're.
Pick one, actually, a random one that you don't know anything about.
Yeah. Okay. Well, how about? I don't know. How about this one? Well, we kind of already did. How about approachable? Approachable.
Okay. Approachable is.
Okay. Boom. We've talked a lot about being stuck. We've talked a lot about how to change our mannerisms for the better. I think let's talk about that. And I just want to say a couple things too before we move forward here. I really want to tell everybody out there how much Andrew and I really enjoy doing this. This has actually been very cathartic for me on a personal level, and I don't want to mislead anybody. I am not, I'm not shy to public speaking. I've done it for a long time. It's just kind of comes with the territory. But this is a little bit different. This is now, it's hard in one respect to be selfless when you do these videos, right? I mean, because in theory, well, not in theory, we're doing this and we're putting ourselves out there a little bit, right? So yeah, there's a little fear of what people might think, or who are these two guys? What are they doing? Why should I even follow them? What do they know? But I'd like to think that we have something to contribute here. We both read. We have broad interests. We surround ourselves with some very smart people in the industry and outside of the industry. You folks know who you are. I don't need to keep plugging you. You know who you are. And it's been a blessing, really, quite honestly. It's really, I saw that. It really helps, elevate your game. And it forces you to examine yourself. Back to Socrates. The unexamined life is not worth living. You need to examine things. I get it. You might be shocked at what you might find, but hopefully that will help move you forward. So that's about all I got to say. And then follow Andrew and I. Follow us on YouTube after we modify the videos. Follow us. Watch the playlist. I'm connecting to other things and other people as well as Andrew. Take a peek at Take 5 with Paul Lucido, and of course, more importantly, Lucido and Berman. Getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. So there you go. That's our little plug right there.
Fantastic.